Okay, first part to our protein series here today. Going to decipher a little bit deeper on how much protein we should be taking in per day. So I know that we've all seen the numbers about 0.7 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. But what does that actually mean and what does that actually look like? Because I think sometimes we can say that we know these numbers, but they don't actually translate into utilization or how we use them in our day-to-day life. So I want to break all of this down for all of you into simple steps, questions I ask myself, and kind of just the layout and the blueprint of what I run through when I'm making these decisions around food and especially protein. So 0.7 to 1.2 is the general recommendation. I typically tell people just aim for one. One is a really great place to aim. And if for some reason like you consume really low amounts of protein right now, maybe that is a little bit of a stretch. Maybe we do push you to the 0.7. But one also makes a lot of these numbers just a lot easier because we're just dividing it by our body weight. So my first question is, what is your approximate body weight? So for the sake of numbers, we'll say 150, right? So if I want to consume 1 gram per pound of body weight, I need to consume 150 grams if I weigh 150 pounds of protein each and every day. Now, this is mostly approximation, so you don't need to step on the scale and weigh yourself every day and be like, I'm 148 today, so I get 148 grams of protein. No. I hate to look at things like that. It's a very one-sided and dialed-in approach. A lot of the time things fluctuate and we want to look at things bigger picture as well. So take, weekly averages, monthly averages, and look at that. So it doesn't need to be perfect. It's an approximation. And this is what this is all about. It's just approximating, because if I give you these tools to better approximate, chances are you're going to do better than what you're doing right now. So what is your approximate weight? Find that. Just stick to, if you're 145, just stick to 150 or stick to 145, whatever is easiest for you. I stick to 150 because it also makes the numbers later on a little bit easier. So next question, how many meals are you eating per day? This is going to determine how we split up how much protein we eat at each meal. So if you're someone who eats 6 meals, you would divide that 150 grams by 6 meals. Now, to make it simple, I just said someone eating 5 meals. But if you're someone who's super busy and can really only get 3 meals in, then maybe you divide it by 3. Okay, if you're someone who is, just to dial or go back a little bit, if you're someone who is less than, or needs to consume less than 1 gram per pound, maybe you just chop a little bit off that top number. So let's say you're 150 pounds. And maybe you just go to 130, right? We took 20 grams off that, a smaller percentage, just about 12%. So I think that's a little bit more reasonable. Moving on to how many meals. So I said 5. Again, this is completely up to you, what your lifestyle is like. I think the more meals, the better, depending on the circumstances. But for the most part, more meals, the better. I don't typically push people to be consuming only 3 times a day unless it is very necessary. So I divide the amount of protein per day by the number of meals I'm going to consume. This is going to give me an average number of protein per meal. And then I'm going to talk about all of the ways that you can achieve these numbers and ranges of this amount of protein based on these numbers and based on typical numbers or typical amounts you'll see from day to day. And I'm going to show you how you can achieve these with some meal sources or food sources in just one meal. And I'm going to give you 8, 9, 10 sources. So, you could change it up every single day for a week on what you eat and use these sources. All right. So 150 grams divided by 5 meals turns out to 30 grams. So you see why I did that? It turned out nicely. Maybe you do 5 meals and you only need 125 grams of protein, and then you can just divide it and it's 25. So typically what you'll see for the most part is 20 to 35, and I don't typically prescribe or encourage people to consume more than 40 grams of protein in a sitting, which is again why I try to have people consume more meals, Because research shows typically, and I would love to attach a few documents to this podcast, a few research articles. Research shows that our bodies are not great at breaking down protein with more than 40 grams of consumption at a time. So the range you'll see is 20, 35, 40 grams of protein there. But for the sake of this example, we'll stick with 150 with 5 meals, so 30 grams of protein per meal. And what does 30 grams of protein look like? So this is my next question. What does 25 grams of protein look like in tuna? What does 25 grams protein look like in chicken? What does 25 grams of protein look like in eggs? Right? What does 30 grams of protein look like? 30 grams of protein looks like 5 eggs. So you could eat 5 eggs in one sitting. Now, we also have to consider the other macronutrients, fat, carbohydrates, right? Eggs are also higher in fat, and I don't want you to take that as eggs are bad, right? But while you're trying to get that much protein, you're also consuming a lot of fat, and that will probably fill you up. So if you're someone who is trying to gain weight, we want you to eat things that don't fill you up as fast. So we have that thought there. 1.2 scoops of protein is 30 grams. Most proteins I've seen on the market max out at 25. Most are at around 24 or 25. And most of the vegan or vegetarian protein powders are around 20. So it'd be maybe 1.5 scoops of that in order to get 30 grams of protein. You're looking at 1.5 protein bars. Most protein bars I see, the highest they come is 20 grams of protein per bar. So you'd be eating 1.5 protein bars, maybe 2, depending on how much protein you want. So now gets into the fun part. Chickens, meats, fishes. How do we measure these? I like to use the palm rule. Okay. So 4 ounces of chicken is about the size of my palm or about the size of a deck of cards. Okay. You need 4.5 ounces of chicken in order to get 30 grams of protein. So just go a little bit bigger than the size of your palm. That's all it's got to be. Just a little bit bigger, enough to add 5 ounces, but not so much bigger that we're adding another 3 or 4 ounces, right? Size of your palm, 4, 4.5 for 30, 5 for 35 ounces, right? That's for chicken. For not a little less lean meats, turkey is the same. You'll need as much turkey as you do chicken. They're very lean meats. Less lean meats like red meats, you need a little bit more of, because a lot of the nutrients in there is fat. The weight of that is fat. So you need a little bit more red meats. So again, a little bit bigger than the palm. Okay, but these are also just as dense, so you're probably not going to change the size that much with those. All right, 1 can of tuna has about 30 grams of protein. I think it might be 29. 5 ounces of fish is about 30 grams of protein. 2 Greek yogurts come about 15 grams of protein a piece. And 1 full cup of egg whites. Now you can mix and match these. So I just gave you, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 examples on ways you could reach 30 grams of protein. And you don't have to use all of these alone. You can mix and match. Like I do eggs and egg whites in order to decrease the amount of fat, but increase the amount of protein that I'm getting from the egg. So there's a lot of different tricks and trials there. But start with 1 gram per pound body weight. What is your approximate weight? If your goal is to do less than 1, chop some off that top number for your body weight, and then aim for that. Take the number of grams you want to consume, which is equal to your body weight, and divide it by the number of meals you want to eat each day. This gives you a goal amount of protein to consume for each meal. And this makes it a little bit easier to break down how much do I really need. So yes, I'm having chicken for dinner, but how much chicken do I need in order to get 30 grams? Okay, I need the size of my palm. A little bit bigger than the size of my palm, right? 25 would be about the size of my palm. I hope this helps. Try this out. Let me know how it goes. Ask these questions to yourself and give these a shot. Let me know if you have any other, connections that you can draw between 30 grams of protein, 25 grams of protein, and how you measure those, because I'm always looking for new ways to share, new references, and different ways to view things, different perspectives, so that we can ease this for everyone. Thanks for tuning in.